Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'm going to be playing my very first sealed event of Phyrexia, All Will Be One, the brand new format. This video was recorded during the early access event for Phyrexia, All Will Be One, so thank you very much to Wizards of the Coast for providing me with this early access account, and without further ado, let's bust open these packs and see what we get to play with today. Alright, well, some pretty weird cards here, but what is quite nice is having two powerful colorless rares. Argenta Masticore is a 5-mana 5/5 with First Strike and protection from multicolored. Already great. However, there is a downside. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice it unless you discard a card, but when you discard a card this way, you get to destroy a non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. So it does give you some benefit as you're discarding those cards, so I think it does become actually a pretty solid playable, very scary kind of rare you can slap into any deck. I guess we'll find out for sure, because whatever I build, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Argentum Masticore. Another one of our rares here is Zenith Chronicler. This one's not very good unless you're very aggressive. 2 mana for a 3/1. Whenever a player casts their first multicolored spell each turn, each other player draws a card. So I guess if we run 0 multicolored cards in our deck and we're in the market for a 2 mana 3/1, then we could run this. 2 mana 3/1s though, historically not great unless you really want to get in for some early game damage, because they are going to trade into any creature on your opponent's board, including stuff like 1/1 goblin tokens that do exist a little bit in this format. Next up for our bad rares, we have Norn's Wellspring, 1 and a white for an artifact. Whenever a creature you control dies, scry 1 and put an oil counter on this. You can spend 1, tap it, and remove 2 of those oil counters from it to draw a card. I just think this is generally going to take far too long to get those counters to be worth running, even if you are proliferating a lot to add additional oil counters to the card. So not in love with Norn's Wellspring and probably not going to play it. But then we have our 2 pretty powerful colored rares. We have Kemba Caw Enduring for 1 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever Kemba or another cat enters the battlefield under your control, you can attach an equipment you control to that creature for free. Equipped creatures you control get +1/+1. And the pretty sweet part on this card, a 2 mana 2/2 you can curve out aggressively with that then gives you a good late game mana sink, 2 white and 3 more, to create a 2/2 white cat creature token. You can do that as many times as you want. So you play this turn 2, and then just attack and block with it as normal as you would with your 2 mana 2/2s. But late in the game, you run out of stuff to do, both you and your opponent are top decking. You just get to keep making cats whenever you don't draw anything good. So I think Kemba's pretty solid. And then there's Sulfime, Mayhem Dominus. 2 red and 2 more for a 5/4 is already solid. And if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. So an incredible card with burn spells as your removal spells. If we get some Hex Gold slashes, then this will be incredible. That is red's common removal spell, 1 red mana for 2 damage to a creature, or 4 damage to it if it's toxic. And then we also have that ability for 1 and then 2 Phyrexian red mana, so that could be just 1 mana and 4 life, or 3 mana total, including double red. We can discard 2 cards to put an indestructible counter on this, and again, having a 5/4 indestructible on the board, going to be pretty absurd. There are a few ways to exile in this format, as well as a few ways to tap it down on the board. So it's not going to be completely uninteractable by being indestructible, but against the right color pairs, your opponent could have a pretty hard time killing this, especially if we're against like green-red. That is the only color pair that I think has pretty much no way to get rid of it. Alright, so some pretty sweet rares there overall. Definitely looking into red-white over anything else, but we do very much need to check out our commons and uncommons and make sure we've taken a peek at everything. But I like to start off my sealeds by checking out the multicolored cards and the colorless cards to see if we have any signpost uncommons or powerful rares and mythics that push us in any specific direction. Here we have 0 multicolored cards, so we don't have to worry about that. And our colorless cards can pretty much all fit into any deck. We have the Masticores, the Phyrexian Atlas for mana fixing, Mirror Custodian for some scry, and Atraxa's Skitterfang for a pretty flexible ability that is usable in any deck. So none of these colorless cards really make us want to play any specific deck. And then we have Mirror Kinsmith, which is pretty much unplayable because we only have one other mirror in the entire sealed pool. So we're just going to do as you usually do, take a peek at every color, looking at every card in the color, sorting out our playables and unplayables, and kind of doing a color ranking, strongest colors to weakest colors, and hope that our two strongest colors play well together. So looking at white first, we're going to go through and move out the unplayables. Plated Onslaught is pretty powerful if you're really aggressive, but it's pretty hard to pull off a super aggressive sealed deck, especially when your main color, if we go white, only has one 1-mana creature, one 2-mana creature, and one 3-mana creature, so not feeling great about Plated Onslaught. Mirran Bardiche is a ton of mana. I find it's probably going to be too slow most of the time to be that worth it. Everything else here is... yeah, Lightbringer's really bad filler if you have no equipment. It's super, super bad. We've definitely got some bad filler in here. Norn's Wellspring, again, too slow. Don't think I'm going to play it. Flesh Cutter, another card that is really, really slow. Complete Devotion and Skullbomb are fine. Yeah, these are all the cards I would classify as borderline unplayables that I'm not really going to factor into the color. That being said, white gives us access to excellent removal spells with 2 copies of Planar Disruption to shut off a permanent's ability to attack, block, or use its activated abilities. Shuts off creatures, artifacts, or planeswalkers. We also have Ossification, 2 mana for essentially Oblivion Ring, exiling a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. We do have to have a basic land on board to use this, but that's incredibly easy and limited. That's kind of a restriction for constructed formats more than anything. So 3 excellent removal spells in white, as well as the Kemba, which is incredible. Some decent filler creatures like Basilica Shepherd at the top end of the curve, Porcelain Zealot being a fine little creature to affect combat, and everything else is super filler. The Enforcers, the Attendant, the Sinew Dancer, none of those being exceptional. But white gives us access again to 3 incredible removal spells and a very solid mana sink from Kemba. So I'm going to put white at a pretty solid C+ in this sealed pool. Maybe even a B just because the removal is so great. Checking out our blue cards now. Anything super unplayable here? There's like bad filler like Meldweb Curator, but that's still fine. Logbook is probably too slow, unless we have a ton of artifacts, and even then it is still a slow card. But that's about it. I mean, Divination, 3 mana draw 2 is fine. Auguries, 2 mana look at the top 3, put 1 in hand is fine. Very good if we have any oil counter stuff going on, but we don't. Unfortunately, in blue, we have 2 oil counter cards, 1 Ichor Synthesizer, and 1 Gitaxian Raptor. But these are decent ways to proliferate, I guess. If we have a secondary color, like if we go blue-red or something, and we have a ton of oil counter stuff in our secondary color, then our blue is very exciting between Experimental Augury and Mesmerizing Dose. And overall, the color looks pretty decent. A couple solid counter spells. The very good bounce spell from Surgical Skull Bomb. And we've got a removal spell with Mesmerizing Dose. Honestly, I think our spells in blue are, even though they're not as, we don't have like 3 really good removal spells like we have in white, the overall card quality is a little higher, so it averages out to blue and white being pretty equally powerful here, and both solid choices for a color to run in this sealed pool. See how our black looks, though. Well, unfortunately, black looks like it is not going to work out. We have 4 creatures total in black. 1 3-mana creature that is pretty good if you can corrupt your opponent. And 1 4-mana creature, which is just great standalone value. A 4-mana 4/1, it doesn't attack very well, but it does trade into some high toughness creatures on blocks, and then does let you draw a card when it dies, so pretty great creature there, and having 3 copies of it is nice, but again, really empty when it comes to creatures. We have 4 total, And our non-creature spells, we have some really filler stuff that I don't like Duress. I generally don't like to main deck. It's just really easy to miss with this card and limited. Accidentally cut Vat of Rebirth, but I was going to cut that anyway. I think that that card is going to generally be far too slow. You have to wait until you have proliferated up to 4 times or up to 4 artifacts and creatures you control have died to get anything out of this card. And by the time it does that, it's kind of just paying off for you having waited that long, so you're not really going ahead in value or being really happy with the card unless you get to activate its ability twice, which it will take an astronomically long time to do, even if you are proliferating well. So not a big fan of Vat of Rebirth. I do like Whisper of the Dross if you have decent things to proliferate, like poison counters on your opponent's face or oil counters on your own permanents. Skull Bomb is pretty great value. You can always cycle it away for that 1 mana, but you can also return a creature from your grave to hand and draw a card. Anoint with Affliction is excellent removal. Shieldred's Edict is okay removal. Necrogen Communion in a deck with this low creatures is just not where it's at, so we'll probably have to cut that. Vraska's Fall as well. This is just a much worse version of Shieldred's Edict, unless we really want to put 1 poison counter on our opponent, which I don't think it's worth it, so we'll probably not play that. Then a couple decent draw spells, draw 2, lose 2, and put a poison on our opponent, and 4 mana, draw 3, lose 3, so really slow stuff in black, but a couple okay removal spells, basically no creatures though, does make black the worst color we've seen so far by a little bit weaker than our blue and white. Checking out our red cards now, we do have a lot of creatures in the color and good non-creatures. Color's looking pretty exciting. 5 mana, 5/5 Menace Reach is a great top end to the curve. We of course get our Soulfeme, Mayhem Dominus. Urabrask's Anointer is very good if you can get enough cards with oil counters in your deck. That being said, we have 2 total oil counter creatures, Magmatic Sprinter and Sawblade Scamp, so I don't think Anointer is going to work out for us. Again, exceptional when you have like 6+ creatures that can get oil counters, but our sealed pool looks like it's just not a good position for the Urabrask's Anointer. Chimney Rabble is fine. Getting a 3/3 and a 1/1 for 4 mana is good. Magmatic Sprinter is a way to put oil counters on a bunch of your different creatures if you just keep putting it back in your hand and replaying it. Putting oil counters onto random stuff just to try to get Urabrask's Anointer to work. I guess that's a thing we could do. A couple Kuldotha Cacklers, which are again very good with creatures with oil counters on them. Not so great otherwise. This format is shaping up to be a pretty high synergy format where you need to be very focused on what you're doing. A lot of the most powerful aggro cards being stuff like Kuldotha Cackler, where you really need to have a good oil counter theme going. Same with like Urabrask's Anointer. So I feel like the sealed format is going to be a bit awkward here. It's going to be a great format to draft where you can really focus in on these high synergy archetypes. But in sealed, you will open up a lot of sealed pools like this one where it's like Anointer and Cacklers are great cards in draft. But in sealed here, we just don't have the oil counters to support them, where they're just like okay to bad, which is pretty sad. Sawblade Scamp, little 1 mana, 1/1 haste, not the greatest card ever, but it chips in for some damage. And then looking at our non-creatures, we have Molten Rebuke for a filler removal spell, but we'd probably play it in sealed. 2 very good removal spells between Rebel Salvo and Volt Charge, and I guess we found Red's one answer to Soulfeme. You deal 5 damage to a creature and make it lose indestructible. So that's how you kill an indestructible Soulfeme in red. But yeah, really excellent removal here between Volt Charge and Salvo. And then a decent combat trick, decent card draw, another decent combat trick. And Churning Reservoir, which again is a very high synergy card that is super focused on the oil counter deck, and we just do not have enough cards that care about those counters for this to do much, so that is an auto cut. Anointer probably gets cut. The Cacklers probably don't work well. There's still 3 mana, 2/3 tramples, so we'd have to play them. But yeah, some powerful cards in red with Soulfeme and 2 removal spells. The lack of oil counter synergy, though, does make me quite sad. Despite the sadness, I do have to be honest, though, and say that red is still a very good color. Maybe, probably tied with like white and blue. I'm feeling like white and red are a tiny bit above the blue, but Yeah, just having access to Soul Theme in a color that still has 2 removal spells feels pretty powerful, so I think our red is still quite good. Probably even our best color, despite its lack of general synergy, having a lot of like oil pieces with nothing good to do with them. And for the final color, we're moving on to green now. We have not a lot of creatures, but Lattice Blade Mantis is a big finisher, a 4-mana 4/3 that comes with 2 oil counters. You can remove 1 whenever it attacks to untap it and give it +1/+1. So it's kind of like a 4-mana 5/4 Vigilance, which is just super aggressive, very just busted kind of large body there. Copper Long Legs is super filler. Branchlight Stalker, pretty filler. And then, yeah, I don't love Expand the Sphere. We're not really ramping into anything, and if we were, it's inconsistent. Carnivorous Canopy, I don't think I like main decking. Sorcery Speed, Artifact Enchantment, Flyer Removal. If this were literally just Crushing Canopy and were the instant, that would be like right on the cusp. That'd be on like the good side of borderline main deckable. But Sorcery Speed, I feel like, cuts it off from that. Then we just have a ton of combat tricks. 3 Maze's Mantle, Titanic Growth, and Tyvar's Stand. And then 1 very mediocre, very medium green removal spell with Ruthless Predation. And not a ton of creatures in green. The only exciting ones are the 4-drops. We only have 1 removal spell. And then we have 5 combat tricks, which feels a little redundant. So I don't think our green is particularly good here, unfortunately. So red, white, red, blue, some combination of those colors. We didn't open up any mana fixing in the entire sealed pool. There are no dual lands. Well, there's 1 Phyrexian Atlas, but that's not enough mana fixing, I think, to go 3 color between blue, white, and red. We have 0 multicolored cards, so I guess we might as well play a 2-mana 3/1. We also just don't have a lot of cheap creatures in our sealed pool in general, so we probably do need that to up our 2-drops. Atrax's Skitterfang does give us another oil counter card, which can help that oil counter theme. We might have to go red-blue. Our white has better removal and a decent mana sink with Kemba, but our blue gives us 2 oil counter cards. It gives us the Synthesizer and the Raptor, as well as 4 ways to proliferate with 3 Augury and Mesmerizing Dose. So yeah, less removal in blue, but still some very valuable cards like Quicksilver Fisher, Skull Bomb being good value plays that draw us a card as we're doing them, and some oil counter theming to go with Skitterfang for maybe some blue-red oil stuff. I think I'm going to try to go blue-red here if I can. Let's see. Take a look at that first. So this is 49 cards, and I didn't put my Manticores in here yet. There we go, so it's 51 cards. I'll put Custodian in as well for now. 52, so I get to cut 12 cards out of this deck. We currently have 18 creatures and 17 non-creatures, so we can definitely cut a few creatures. 15 to 17 creatures is the general aggro guideline in Limited and Draft and Sealed, and I don't think we're going to be that aggressive, so we can cut like 4, maybe 5 creatures here and still be fine. I think I want to keep Sawblade Scamp just for oil counter synergies, even though it's pretty low impact later in the game. Custodian is not any oil nonsense. Rebels, not the greatest. Curator's not the greatest. Yeah, maybe I just cut 3 here and stay at like 15 creatures. Because I don't really want to cut any of the oil nonsense. And then we cut 9 cards. Random combat trick. We're definitely not deep enough into oil for Churning Reservoir to be good. But Free from Flesh is an okay combat trick that also makes our Urbrask's Anointer more playable, and our Koldotha Cackler potentially stronger. So I actually like Free from Flesh in here over Blazing Crescendo as the combat trick. Even though Crescendo can draw us a card, I think oil counters are pretty valuable to just spread out amongst our cards. Plenty of excellent card draw in blue, so we don't need the more mediocre red card draw spell there. Logbook is a very slow card draw, don't really want that either. Probably cut Curiosity as well with 3 copies of Augury. And then we just need to cut 3 more cards. Maybe cut the counter spells here. We don't have any creatures with flash, and we have a relatively high creature count, so we're probably tapping out a lot, not holding up the mana for a counter spell. Yep, that seems fine. Then I guess I actually just cut Free from Flesh over anything else in the non-creatures. Maybe one of these auguries. Like, we don't have many cards that we really want to proliferate with. We have one Skitterfang that wants to be proliferated, one Raptor that wants to be proliferated, one Synthesizer that wants to be proliferated, and one Sawblade Scamp. So 4 total, and they don't want it that badly. I'm actually going to cut one augury over Free from Flesh. I like this blue-red oil deck. Yeah, I'm going to save the deck as is, and then we're going to take a look at red-white and see if that's any better. But if it's not, we'll go back to blue-red, do the deck overview, and get into the gameplay. So save the blue-red deck, head back into deck building, and if I don't like the looks of the red-white deck, then I can just close out of deck building. I do like that we have a sphere land in white. That's nice. Alright, we got to put all the red cards back in because we might actually want to play the different combat trick for this color pair. The whole oil theme gets significantly worse in this color pair, so we probably drop all of it. Okay, the number of oil cards without the blue. I guess I could try to Norn's Wellspring to fit with the oil cards, but I'm still not going to play Churning Reservoir. So I guess even without blue, we have 3 creatures that can naturally get oil, and then 1 combat trick to put oil. That does not feel like enough. These are just up here because they care about other stuff having oil. So we have 3 cards that care about our other things having oil, and only 4 cards that can possibly put oil anywhere. Yeah, I'm just going to cut Free from Flesh, the oil payoffs, the Sprinter for sure. Skitterfang's still fine. Sawblade Scamp not worth it though, if we don't want to expand the number of oil counter cards we have. 3 mana 2/3 trample is still fine, but the Haster is not without the oil theme. So 10 cuts. 10 cuts. Forgot to get rid of the Surgical Spell Bomb here. Without blue, we're not going to do that. Obviously, we would trade our islands for plains if we do go with this build, but we can do that later. The curve's pretty bad. 1 1-mana card, 2 2-mana cards. The Lightbringer, that's pretty rough. Probably want to cut that. Custodian's not great, but I'd rather cut some of these 4-drops because I have so many of them. We're not very toxic, so I don't think Indoctrination Attendant's that good. Okay amount of artifacts, probably not enough for the Enforcer. This is still a medium playable without toxic creatures, just giving something +1/+1 every turn. So leave that in for now. Cut those 4. We still cut 5 more cards. How many creatures do we end up with? 14? Pretty low. Could leave Bardiche in for another 5-drop, but that's 4 5-mana creatures. That's a lot. I'm going to cut Bardiche as the weakest of those. We're a little lower on the creature count now, and we don't have a lot of 1 and 2-mana creatures, so Plated Onslaught isn't going to work well. 3 more cuts to go. Probably drop the Flesh Cutter, the little combat tricky Complete Devotion, where we don't have enough toxic creatures to be able to draw the card off this anyway. And then, I guess like a Thrill of Possibility or a Blazing Crescendo. One of the medium little card draw dorky things. Sinew Dancer is pretty bad in here. Our opponent will never be corrupted, so it's always 4 mana to tap an opposing creature. Is a lot. Maybe I should just cut Sinew Dancer and leave both of these in. I do feel like I prefer the red-blue build, and I'm probably going to go with that, but this is definitely a place to go. The best thing going for this color pair is we just have a lot of removal. 6 removal spells instead of 4 in blue-red. But we have like no synergy in here now. We're just like playing stuff and attacking, which I guess is what Sealed is kind of about. It is a less synergistic format, but I still want to go with that blue-red build here. I think there's enough of an upside to being able to play cards like the 4/2 that shoots things based on the oil counters you have, and cards like that. And we still have bombs in the deck. Like, our main bombs are 2 Masticores and a Sulfime. Like, Kemba's not really like a bomb. Kemba's just a very good mana sink that will win the game if we get into a stalemate with our opponent, but that's not every game. Most games of Magic, Kemba's going to be just reasonable and not that impressive. Kemba gets shot pretty easily. Yeah, Kemba's definitely not a bomb, so it's not like we have more bombs in red-white than we did in red-blue. We just have 2 more removal spells and a lot less synergy. Yeah, all we're getting is 2 more removal spells. So I'm going to stick to the red-blue, and we'll be rolling with that deck. Alright, here's a look at my first ever Phyrexia All Will Be One sealed deck. We're going to go for a kind of blue-red oil deck. Primarily just blue-red good stuff, as it is in sealed. We're mainly just playing a lot of our best cards here. Red, I think, is our best color. We have a Sulfame Mayhem Dominus to potentially use as a big bomb. If we can get this onto the board and give it indestructible, should be able to take over a game on the ground. It is also buffing all of our red removal spells, of which we have 3. We have Molten Rebuke, Volt Charge, and Rebel Salvo. So some great interaction there. For blue interaction, we have Mesmerizing Dose for a removal spell, as well as Surgical Skull Bomb to play as a bounce spell. So pretty good interaction there as well. Some oil counter sub-themes, a little bit of an oil counter synergy deck going on here. Is pretty much everything else that we have going for us that is particularly interesting. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different creatures that give themselves oil counters or can give other cards oil counters, as well as a 6th card, Free from Flesh, that can put oil counters onto something else. And we have those in there primarily so that Urbrask's Anointer can ideally do 2 damage to something when it hits the board. But we also have a lot of ways to proliferate, so the cards that are getting oil counters in general can use their abilities a lot more often. Cards like Ichor Synthesizer can become that 3/3 unblockable relatively quickly when we're casting spells like Experimental Augury that give it an oil counter when we cast the Augury, and then give it another when it resolves and proliferates. So that's great with the Synthesizer. Cards like Ataxian Raptor, we can make sure we've got a lot of extra oil counters on that, so we can keep moving its power and toughness around whenever we need it. And Magmatic Sprinter can be a way to get oil counters even onto our non-oily creatures. So if we get Sprinter and Anointer in hand, we can kind of guarantee we can have several permanents with oil counters on them for that theming. So that's the main synergy thing going on in the deck, but other than that, just decent blue and red creatures, the decent blue and red interaction, as you expect in pretty much any limited format. So without further ado, let's jump into the gameplay. Here we are on the play with a turn 2 Synthesizer into a Volt Charge, which will get 2 counters on it thanks to the Proliferate. I can also set up a Zenith Chronicler if I think my opponent's going to play any multicolored cards, so I can draw some cards. Chronicler mainly just in here as a filler 2-mana creature, so we actually have a few of those. Now that I've drawn into Anointer, I'm very interested in getting some oil-countered creatures on board as quickly as possible, but I could go Chronicler into Sprinter to threaten a lot of damage, as well as getting oil counters onto something that couldn't get them otherwise, so that I can go wide with my oiled up permanents. Opponent is on blue-black here. They are going to immediately drown an Ichor on the 3/1, which is fine by me. Curve out with the Sprinter if I just want to poke them for now is fine. Yeah, probably better than playing Ichor Synthesizer. So it puts 2 oil counters on itself, hits them for 3. Hits them for 3 again. Next turn, but then it goes back to our hand. So we can put oil counters on something else. Venser Corpse Puppet. That I need to kill before they proliferate, because if they proliferate with this card, they're going to get a 3/3 artifact creature on the board as well. And I don't believe there is a 1 red mana way to proliferate, so sadly, I'm using my Volt Charge before I have anything to proliferate with it, but it's worth it. Similar to how my opponent used their Drown and Ichor before they had anything to proliferate with. We just gotta get that thing killed. What? Am I... What? 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 Did they secretly put all of the Praetors in this set? Oh my god, I think they might have secretly added all of the Praetors to the Mythic Rare slot in this set so you can randomly just open a Praetor from a different set. At first I thought this had to be a glitch, but then I thought of how they used to do like God Packs in Theros. There must be a chance of opening up mythics from a mythic Praetor from any set in that rare slot. In that mythic rare slot. Well, I mean, we lose to Sheoldred, but what a way to lose a game. I had no idea. I don't think this is public. I don't think they've told anybody that that's a thing. This would be the saddest glitch if it's a glitch for me, but I think that's legit. I think that they're doing another one of those kind of like retro framed artifact kind of things. Where it's like, well, you do have a shot. You know, like they had some of the old Ravnica sets, like Dragon's Maze or whatever. Like, you could open a Shockland in that set, even though there were technically no Shocklands in the format. Oh, we might... If I beat Sheoldred, I'm gonna be so happy. We just drew removal that can kill it. Oh, why didn't it stop this turn? I don't know. But I should have been able to kill that before it triggered, I think. I might have skipped over it accidentally. Probably skipped over it accidentally. There's a lot on my mind right now. My opponent just played a Sheoldred against me in Phyrexia All Will Be One Limited. And that card is from a different limited format. My brain is going a lot of places here. Anointer to kill Thrummingbird is going to be nice. But we needed to kill that Sheoldred instantaneously. I'm gonna post about this in the Discord and see. I'm gonna check the early access Discord and see if anybody else has ran up against this. This is probably, by the time this video comes out, it'll be the day after early access, so you all probably already have heard about this or seen it if it's intentional. But I had no idea. That's so cool. Alright, hopefully no instant speed removal to kill Synthesizer. Oh, they can just use the Silex. Or Volt Charge, that works too. Only taking 2 damage a turn, so still got a shot. Not loving things. I kind of want to keep this for Fisher. I should have just played Fisher this turn instead of Anointer because they could just sack the Silex. Could have just sacked the Silex to kill some... Oh wait, no, they couldn't because those are both 2-drops. Never mind. Made the right play, even though I'm not very focused right now. If they sacked the Silex to blow everything up with mana value 2, they would kill both their own creatures, so it was still the right play to try to kill the Thrummingbird with our Enter the Battlefield trigger. I guess they're just trying to get to 10 oil counters for the Silex to shoot us in the face for 10. We will die if they get there. Alright, Quicksilver Fisher. Let's stop Thrummingbird from ever hitting us again, hopefully. No more removal, fingers crossed. They have no more good attacks. But the Silex is 4 counters away from shooting us for 10. They need 10 oil counters on it. I would have been at 11 life if I properly shot Sheoldred before my draw step. I shot it during my upkeep. But they've got the Spell Bomb as well here, which means they would have hit us down to 9 anyway, which is still dead to Silex. Skitterfang. I guess I'm just playing Fisher, hoping to draw anything good here. I don't think I have anything that can stop the Silex. This does not blow up artifacts. Unfortunately, it only blows up equipment, specifically. Now they get to turn the Silex into a 4/4 or one of their artifact creatures. So they're going to choose the Watcher into a 4/4 and still have removal for Fisher. Alright. I think we had a shot if they didn't have literal Shieldred, but they have a lot of good follow-up as well, so even though we kill the Shieldred eventually, we took a lot of damage from her in the early game, and they've got a great follow-up too. We're pretty dead. Literal Shieldred, though, in not Dominar United, is so wild. That was incredible. I'm just gonna pass and let them kill me here. I'll let them shoot me for 10 with the Silex, because that's just cool. Oops. I'm just trying to pass through my turn right now, but I accidentally used that. I guess I'll get lifelink, so they have to Silex me for 10. Oh wait, no. I guess by clicking past turn I skipped through combat, so I couldn't even lifelink in. Doesn't matter. I was just intending to pass the turn and let them shoot me for 10. Oh my god. Okay, so I guess that's a thing. You can just open up Praetors from any set in Phyrexia, all will be one. That is wild and does add to the bomb-heavy nature of the format. There's already some incredible rares. Add in the fact that you might play against a Shieldred in Sealed Draft, and this is a scary, scary explosive format. You really want to have a lot of removal and interaction here. That is going to be an incredible way to lose the first game in more than one ways. Incredible to play against Shieldred when I had no idea that was even a thing, and then get shot for 10 by Silex. When we lose hard. Alright, here we are for game 2. We're probably going to late game play one of these Masticores and discard the other to kill something. Seems like a plan. Low on early game plays, don't have both my colors. This could pan out poorly for me, but I am going to keep it here. We're playing on Wizards of the Coast's dime. What's the worst that can happen? Mandible Justiciar, turn 2 is a nice aggressive start for them. Probably have to trade into that, because that gets +1/+1 whenever they play an artifact, so it can threaten to attack pretty large pretty quickly. Basilica Skull Bomb can send it into the sky by spending a white and 2. They also draw a card when they do that. They now play a Dune Mover, or another artifact to make the Justiciar a 4/3 this turn. Still doesn't attack into Chronicler well, because of our 3 power, so that is a slam dunk insta-trade. Kuldotha Cackler is the turn 3 play. We just need to hit any 2 lands, or ideally 2 islands. Drawing into another double blue card was not ideal here. Nor is that, so I guess we're just chilling with our opponent. As soon as I hit 1 blue source, though, the Augury can let me dig for the other one. And we're not under any life total pressure. Now I just need any land to play a Manticore. And from that point on, I can do some great stuff. Discarding the double blue cards to kill my opponent's permanents because I can't cast them anyway. Argentum Masticore time. There's a Basilica Shepherd from our opponent. 3/3 flyer gives them 2 poisonous mites, and I guess we're mono red. Here we go. Masticore it up. Probably just going to play 2 of them. One of them is going to die eventually, because I can't discard 2 cards every turn. But I want to keep the second in my hand for if they kill the first one, I guess. But yeah, I want to discard Quicksilver Fisher as my first 5 mana card to discard to kill their 5 mana card. Masticore is pretty great when you are stuck on 1 color of mana. We have plenty of cards we'd be happy to discard. Bounce the Masticore. Well, I can replay it. Did put them down a card there, but we take some damage here. We're under some pressure. Plated Onslaught, +2/+1. Sure, I still kill Dune Mover. Down to 9. And we take 2 poison. There's 1 island. Probably holding onto the island to maybe discard to a Masticore. Because even discarding lands, Masticore can kill tokens when we discard lands. Although the first island is pretty valuable to play. We can discard the double blues, but having at least one blue source feels important. Take 5 damage on board, 6-7 if they Skull Bomb. Maybe I have to just kill Shepherd here with Molten Rebuke. Then I'm only taking 2 on board. I don't have the mana to do that and play anything else though, and I would a turn after this. So I'm actually going to Masticore first, but then next turn I can Rebuke and still do a 2 mana thing. Or if I hit another island, I can Mesmerizing Dose. And if they don't kill Masticore, I can just kill Shepherd by discarding Quicksilver Fisher. So probably going to hit us for 6 here by Skull Bombing one of the Phyrexian Mites into the sky. That is the play. Unctus's Retrofitter turned that into a 4/4, so it hits for exact lethal. Wow. Yes, we lose. That's pretty brutal. That's a good combination of cards there to get punished for the slow start. Like 1 turn for massive comebacks there with double Masticore shenanigans, or blow up the flyer and blow up the next creature. That was impressive with a really good blocker for the ground troops, but yeah, I mean, that'll kill us when you've got the combat tricks into lethal. You've got the combat tricks into lethal. We are moving on to game number 3. Here we are now in game 3, both colors of mana, a good 2-drop creature to start things off, and the most expensive card is 3 mana, so we'll keep it here. Bilious Skull Dweller is going to start things off from our opponents. Definitely trade my Malcator's Watcher into that pretty happily, because this is going to sit there putting poison counters on us until I kill it, and it's always going to threaten to kill a bigger creature later because of its Death Touch. Red, black, and white from our opponent. Infectious Inquiry is the play. Draw 2, lose 2, put a poison counter on us. And they are going to pass the turn. Drop a Kuldotha Cackler here and hit for 1 thanks to Vigilance from Malcator's Watcher. Annex Sentry to go ahead and exile the Watcher, and they're going to exile the Cackler instead. That's pretty fine by me. Really trying to be aggro. Now, hoping to draw into some oil stuff before I play Anointer, but I guess I could just play a 4/2 here. It's probably my best play, better than just playing Augury or Dose right now. Yeah, just play a 4/2 and just attack with it like a normal person. 0 2-for-1 value. Mirror Custodian from our opponent at 2/3. They get to scry 2 and we get to scry 1. Sawblade Scamp. It's only really in here for getting oil counters before I play Anointer. Since I already have Anointer, I don't care that much. I guess I could Skull Bomb my own Anointer later in the game. Yeah, that is a thing you can do. That's interesting. Annihilating Glare the Anointer. Okay. Fine by me. Now we have a Zenith Chronicler to play. Could bounce the Sentry, but then they just replay it and kill this anyway. Not that exciting. I'll just hold up my combat trick and my instant speed card draw. Vivisection Evangelist. We are corrupted, which means that they will be able to blow up any permanent when that comes into play. But we drew a card off Chronicler, which means it got its value anyway. So it's not a 2-for-1, just a 1-for-1. Feel pretty good about the amount of value we've been getting off most of our stuff here. Right, like we got a 2-for-1 with our 4/2 anyway, because they sacked a Custodian and Annihilating Glare to kill it. And we turned their 2-for-1 into just a 1-for-1 because we drew a card off Chronicler. I think things are actually going pretty well here despite us not having anything on board. Argentum Masticore, easily the pick. And let's see. Let's see if they're out of removal, shall we? Yeah, I don't need to hold up Free from Flesh, so I'm going to keep the island in hand to discard to Masticore later. Pestilent Siphoner, sure. Fine and dandy. Infectious Inquiry puts us up to 5 poison, which is spooky. We are going to discard a 3-mana card to kill Sentry. And get our Cackler back. We're onto an island. Probably want to Volt Charge the Siphoner away, and they have no blockers for Masticore. I could just attack them here and be fine with it. Guess I'll do that instead. Then they get to attack back with Evangelist, but I can block with a 4/5 with Free from Flesh. So I still have a good block. Alright, they're down to 10. I'm at 5 poison. I am just going to bounce this thing. Save Volt Charge in case they play something better, so we'll postpone having to kill that thing. Ooh, a Soulfiend coming up. I'm going to play an island here so that I can play Volt Charge or Free from Flesh. Like, I'm probably just going to block and Free from Flesh with Cackler, but having the option of Volt Charging is nice. Against all odds, flicker the Vivisection Evangelist to kill my Cackler. Okay. Return the other thing to the board? Wait, this isn't going to work how they want it to at all. Because this would have killed my thing anyway, so they're just... They're just like double killing the Cackler? Okay. Yeah, that's pretty fine. And now they can't attack because it's summoning sick. Yeah, it would have been better if they just returned Sentry because then they would hit us for 4. Alright, we kill the Siphoner. Probably discard the land here. I could discard Soulfiend to kill the Sentry again. They are going down to 5 when I hit them with Masticore. Actually, probably worth it. Sorry, Soulfiend. Drawn to a Raptor or Salvo. Well, Salvo is incredible. Okay, guaranteed 5 damage. They're down to 5 life. Pass the turn. Alright, the Phyrexian Mites can't block, and my Rebel Salvo can kill the Shepherd. My Free from Flesh can kill the Evangelist to keep a Cackler to hit them with as well. And this should be super lethal. Even get to kill a Phyrexian Mite for fun. Alright, there you go. We are on the play with a 3-drop into Masticore at 5. We'll keep this. Opponent takes a mulligan. And let's get things going. Island turn 1, pass the turn. Drop a mountain, pass turn. They are on red-white with Hex Gold Halberd here. 2-mana, 3/1 essentially. Oh no, that's the different one. This is the 2-mana, 2/2 first strike trample during their turn. And they can move that equipment around later. Here's a Skitterfang. Double Masticore is a bit awkward, but we can discard the second one to the first one, or keep the second one in case they removal spell the first one. Planar Disruption for Skitterfang still gets to use its triggered ability at the start of each combat, but will not be attacking or blocking. I shoot something for 1 with Anointer, or I wait to try to hit more poison, because this can't block the 2/2 at all anyway. Or I try to hit more oil, not poison. I think I'm gonna just wait on that. I'm only taking 2 a turn right now. And I'll play a 5/5 first strike next turn for a really good blocker. That's the one I was thinking of. That's the 2 mana 3/1. With an equipment they can move around. And now Axiom Engraver, so they can discard a card to draw a card a few times. Here's Masticore. Gigantic first striking blocker. If they kill this one, we'll play another one. Try to take it from there. Alright, discard a card to draw a card. And another Axiom Engraver is the play. Oh, I can discard lands to kill all these 2/2s. That's so sick. What am I not going to play here? I'm not going to play Cackler. I'm just going to keep playing 5-drops. So... discard Cackler and kill a 2/2, I think. Mesmerizing Dose. Well, that's the next thing I'm going to discard. So now I just play Anointer to kill the 3/1. Skitterfang for lifelink on Masticore. Yeah, that's brutal. That's so brutal with no removal for Masticore. Now I Anointer to kill the 3/1. Skitterfang gives lifelink to Masticore, and I hit for 5 and gain 5. They're down to 2 1/3s with some random equipments, and every turn I'm just blowing up another one of their equipments. You know, discard Dose, blow up whatever is the best on their board, and if they ever kill Masticore, I play it again. Alright. Sick stuff that game. Game 5 now. We've got 2 mountains, which is not enough to cast any of our creatures. No blue source for the double blue card in hand. This feels like it's got to be a mulligan. The only thing that's castable is a combat trick with nothing to put it on. Feels like a mulligan. Mono blue hand now. 6-card hand, but I have Augury to dig for the red source. Sprinter into Anointer, but Sprinter won't have the oil counters on it by the time I play the Anointer anyway. Probably just ditch the Sprinter, honestly. Keep Augury, Salvo, Anointer as the hand. Use Augury to find the red source. Draw Skull Bomb, turn 1 from our opponent. They can use that to pick up a creature from their grave and draw a card later, so nice 2-for-1 value play. Prophetic Prism, excellent card. Used a few of those in our first draft to the excellent effect. Just gonna Augury in their end step here. Duress. Main deck Duress. Pretty rude. Or we turn Augury into another solid creature here. Sure thing. There's our play for next turn. So now they get rid of Rebel Salvo. Alright, and here's the Cackler. Pass the turn. Draw a card from their Skull Bomb. Looking for some creatures, probably. And they're just going to pass the turn on turn 4. Play the Skitterfang here. This gives us a creature with an oil counter to make Cackler bigger when we go to combat. Don't really feel the need to give it any abilities right now, so I'm just going to keep these oil counters. Attack for 3. There's a Chrome Prowler, so that'll trade into the Cackler. Fair enough. We still trample over for 1. And our 3 mana cards trade with each other. Drop a Skull Bomb and pass the turn. Blight Belly Rats. 2/2 with Toxic 1 that can proliferate when it dies. Volt Charge is the draw. I'm in love with Volt Charging a rat. I'm probably going to Skull Bomb it and just try to draw into another oil counter creature soon enough. Get rid of it that way. We can get some 2-for-1 value going. No pressure really either way here. We're playing a pretty long game. Light Belly Rat is back. And they're going to pass the turn. There's a Zenith Chronicler. Does not do any oil counter stuff. Probably just start first striking the Skitterfang in. Still have enough mana to play Chronicler and hold up Volt Charge. Can this give first strike? It can't. Well, then I guess I'm just not using it. I guess I could flying it in. Never mind, I probably should just flying and hit for 2. But I'm probably trading my 3-1 into this rat. They have nothing to proliferate on right now, so I don't get much value. Don't really want to throw Volt Charge at it that badly. Pestilent Siphoner. Well, now I've got something to kill with Anointer if they can't kill Skitterfang. I don't feel like they would have played the Siphoner if they couldn't kill Skitterfang here, because they know I have Anointer to kill that. So I think I need to Scamp first, so that I have 2 oil-countered permanents on the board. Although, it is not holding for them at all, so I guess they just don't have anything to kill one of my oil counters in response. Oh, I don't know why I used this. I guess I just do lifelink then. So I already said I'm going to use it. I have no reason to hold up a blocker, no reason to get Death Touch. No reason to get flying, their one creature already has flying. I guess I just lifelink then. Offer the tradesies with the Chronicler. I don't want to offer the trade with Scamp though, because I want to leave as many oil countered cards on board as possible. Cool. Pass turn. We have got an Anointer for 2 damage to any target, so any 2 toughness or less creature is going to get shot down. Shoot for 1. Quick Silver Fisher. Yeah, leave the Anointer in hand as long as possible. Shoot something with it. They do have Anoint with Affliction. Don't think they had that last turn. They did have it now. So here's Fisher. Draw a card, discard this island. Resistance Skywarden is the draw. That's a great one. 5/5 Menace Reach. Now a Drown in Ichor to get rid of the Fisher. Poke for 1. Drop the Skywarden. Keep this if we draw another Fisher. I don't remember if I have more than one, but just in case. They're down to 6 now as we pass the turn. An island pass, and looks like they're just flooding out, and that is going to be game 3 and 2 now. At least a 50-50. Just a flat even run here, moving into game number 6. Alright, here we are for the next round on the play. I know I have turn 5 Masticore, but 2 double red cards in the hand is awkward. I have turn 2 Synthesizer, turn 5 Masticore. Whatever, I got this. I believe in the heart of the cards. We will find the Winged Karibo atop our deck. Playing against a green deck here with a turn 1 creature. There's land number 4. Just need any land for the Masticore on 5. This might be a repeat of game 2, just with all blue lands instead of all red lands. That would be a little sad, but we did get to cast Masticore in game 2. Got to cast a Masticore and then died the turn after we played it. Hopefully not an exact repeat. We'll see though. We'll see. This 1-3 is already looking like it's doing a decent job holding off the 2-1. Give us a little time, and we draw into a Malcator's Watcher. Could be an excellent card for us. It can trade into the 2-1, maybe chip in for a couple points of damage, and whenever it dies, it will draw us a card. Try to find our 5th land. Slaughter Singer from our opponent. Now their toxic creatures get +1/+1 when they attack, making that attack as a 3/2. Doesn't buff itself. Yeah, I think I have to just double block and kill this thing. They kill our synthesizer here. We do get got pretty hard by a combat trick. No combat trick though, alright. Ooh, there's a red source. 1 out of 2 to start. This thing is toxic too? Oh. Oh no. I'm in danger. We should have held the double block for Slaughter Singer. Forgot this thing has toxic too, as well as buffing all the toxic attackers. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. That's spooky. Block with Watcher though, dig for the dig for the red source. I missed. My FPS aim is not where it used to be. Orthodoxy Enforcer, 2/4 Vigilance. Skitterfang is fine, but we're just gonna play Masticore. It's got protection from the Slaughter Singer, and it can just start blowing up everything on their board if they do not have a removal spell. And they're green-white, so if it's one of the white removal spells that just pacifies it, I can still keep blowing things up when I want to, which is pretty nice. And if it's green damage-based removal, they don't have anything big enough to kill it yet. This Cultivator is basically just a mana dork. I didn't zoom in on it, didn't mention it earlier. My apologies on that one. You don't know the Cultivator's abilities, since the set is brand new. Alright, ramping up, playing a 6-mana card this turn. Could be the 6-mana white removal spell. It's going to be a 6-mana flyer. That's an issue. We're not going to have enough cards in hand to ever give Soulfeme indestructible, so I think I can just discard that. Kill the Slaughter Singer here. Pick up an Experimental Augury. We're trying to get another red source so I can play the Reach blocker for Apostle potentially. See what we're getting off Augury. Raptor, the Mountain, or another Masticore? It's so tempting, but it's so wrong, because if I have 2 Masticores on board, I have to discard 2 cards a turn, which means I will run out of cards, and that's just not going to work. So I think I take the Mountain so I know I can Skywarden. And then I have to leave Skitterfang in hand to discard to Masticore, so that I can play Skywarden next turn to block Apostle. Doesn't have Toxic, right? Yeah, we need to make sure we don't get another Poison counter to keep it from Double Strike. But even with Double Strike, we can kill it with a 5/5 Reach. It'll just be a trade instead of a favorable block for us. And if they want to kill Masticore, that's fine. They can double block to kill Masticore. We get to kill the Apostle if they do. We don't really have a ton of expendable stuff left to discard. Okay. I guess if something really weird happens, I might want to discard Mountain instead of Skitterfang. So I'll keep the Mountain for now, because I can still just go Mountain Skywarden next turn. even if I don't play it instantaneously. Okay, get hit for 4. They proliferate at instant speed. This is going to be painful. Just an instant that proliferates, all of a sudden, surprise, this is actually a double striking flyer. But no instant speed proliferate for our opponent, so that's probably good. Now a Mandible Justice here. Kill that with Skitterfang here. Oop. Send in the Masticore, drop a big reach blocker. We get to send in the Watcher as well because they do not have a flyer untapped this turn. Chump block with the Cultivator. Certainly is a chump block there. Here's Mountain for turn. We keep the other one to discard to Masticore in the future. Incisor Glider from our opponent. If we become corrupted, they give their whole board +1/+1 whenever these attack, and there's 2 of them. That's spooky. That makes the Enforcer a 4/4. Still got a 5/5 to block it. We'll be fine. But that is something of note. Okay. Ooh, Spellbomb's a good draw. Bounce their really big card and draw another card so that I can still have something in hand to discard to Masticore. Yeah, that's an excellent draw. They can't kill Masticore no matter how they block. They can kill Skywarden, but it has Menace. I get to kill... I guess I just trade Enforcer into it. I don't love the Skywarden attack still, but Masticore is a great attacker. Yeah, I attack with Skywarden, they double block with Enforcer and a Glider and kill it. But if I attack with Masticore, if they block, I can just first strike away one of their artifacts and Enforcer will no longer be big enough to kill Masticore. Alright, so... Oop. Now Enforcer is smaller, which means I can attack with Skywarden in the future. Do need to make sure I'm not playing my final card in hand every turn, that way I get to keep Masticore on the board. Apostle of Invasion is back. Volt Charge. Not worth playing unless it's going to pretty much kill them. Because if I play it, I kill my Masticore. How do they kill Masticore here? Double block with Apostle and Enforcer? That's fine, then I get to keep Volt Charge. Yeah, if they find a kill on Masticore, that's cool with me now. They crack back for 5 in the sky. I think I am attacking with Skywarden. The only way to kill Skywarden is letting me kill the Apostle of Invasion. Right, chump block for Masticore. And that's it, take 5. Cool. They're down to 8 now, we are still at 12. Basilica Spellbomb can send the Enforcer into the sky so that we can't block. Well, no, I can just jump with Watcher either way. Alright, doesn't do much. They probably cycle it away to draw a card, but they can do the +2/+2 and still draw a card anyway. Either way they use it. Porcelain Zealot. That is going to be another 1 damage. To whatever they target. Or with whatever they target here. It might just make Enforcer bigger because it has Vigilance, so it can still block. Yeah, that looks like the play. I guess we just blow up their Skull Bomb by discarding Volt Charge. But I could also cash in Watcher, so I maybe have something different to discard so I don't have to drop my Volt Charge here and I get to kill Zealot with it. Actually seems reasonable. I'm just going to trade off Watcher here so I can discard whatever I draw to that instead of discarding Volt Charge. Cool, so I can discard a Sawblade Scamp, and discarding Sawblade Scamp still kills the Skull Bomb. So they have to just cycle it to draw one card instead of being able to do the plus ability. Do I want to Volt Charge right now? I think I'd rather save it to be able to do it if they double block in any particular way. Alright, force them to cycle away the Skull Bomb without getting +2/+2. Hit a mountain. Well, that is definitely a Masticore discard. If they let one of these through, we'll just Volt Charge their face to kill them. And if they block everything and put a good double block somewhere, then we'll ruin the double block. Alright, they let one through. So Volt Charge to the face for lethal. And that's going to be 4 and 2 now. Very nice recovery after the 0-2 start. We are now at a positive record, positive win rate. So that's 4 wins in a row. Let's keep it coming. Heading into round number 7. Very solid keep here. We have both of our colors as well as double blue from Mesmerizing Dose. And now I've drawn into one of our 2 Argenta Masticores for our turn 5 play. We have seen how that takes over games and just makes the game entirely about the Masticore. I am going to be pretty happy to just Augury without proliferating here. We don't have a ton of great value off proliferates. Pick up a Skywarden or a land. 3 out of 5 mana for Masticore. I think I want to pick up just the land here. Grab another red source so we have double red and double blue. Feels valuable. Okay, now I have all 5 mana I need to make it up to the Masticore. I think I'd want to put some creatures down here rather than dosing the Vorak. I want to... or Volt Charging the Vorak. I want to try to dig the removal out of their hand for other cards. So let's get a Skitterfang down, and next turn we'll probably Skull Bomb, and then the turn after that we'll Masticore. And there we go. We dug 1 removal spell out of their hand. Now they were unlikely to put us to 3 poison anytime soon to get rid of Masticore, but eventually they could kill Masticore with that. I don't want to Skull Bomb the Vorak. I was hoping they were going to play another good creature to Skull Bomb, so instead I think I still just play like the 1/3 and a Skull Bomb here. Get 1 counter on this with 2 non-creature spells that can proliferate. We can turn this into a 3/3 relatively soon. 3/3 unblockable even. Tyrannak's Atrocity is the play from our opponent. Probably need to dose that. So we're going to hold off on Masticore, because Dose plays a lot better against removal from our opponent. Like, if our opponent doesn't have removal, Masticore is just going to, like, flat win, but I can Dose Atrocity and charge the Vorak and just try to control their board state for now. Which plays around a lot more cards than just slamming down a Masticore and hoping for the best. Okay. Still have a Skull Bomb if they play a big non-hasting creature. As soon as I play 1 more spell, Synthesizer's big enough to trade into Vorak. 1 more non-creature spell. Triple black. Drivnod. Exile 3 creatures from their grave to give it indestructible. They have no creatures in grave. We're going to have to Volt Charge Drivnod and then trade our 3/3 into Vorak. Sure. Got a Zenith Chronicler to play as well, so I can Volt Charge plus Chronicler. I kind of want to Volt Charge this before they untap so they can't have very many combat tricks to save Drivnod. I'm at a low enough life total here that I am going to hold up Pretty sure there's one combat trick in the game that can save Drivnod, and it's the uncommon instant speed Tyvar's thing. Tyvar's stand. I'm pretty sure that's the literal only combat trick they could have had. So that's rough. But it is 3 toughness, so still have enough creatures to trade into both of their attackers here. They need to kill both of our creatures to kill us. If they kill one of them, we can trade into Drivnod and go down to 4. Yeah, green's combat tricks in this format are like 2 mana, except for Tyvar's stand. 1 and a green for Titanic Growth for +4/+4 is the main one, but there's 2 and a green for Maze's Metal for +2/+2 on an aura. Those are green's common combat tricks. This was the only one they could have had to save Drivnod. Sad day for us. Annihilating Glare is very good against enchantment-based removal. They need 3 creatures in grave. We're putting a second if I trade here. Please don't put a 3rd creature in your grave somehow. Alright, Blightbelly Rat, sure. Just play a Masticore, threatening a first strike block on Drivnod, or I can Spellbomb Drivnod back to hand and play Watcher for now. Trying to wait to play Masticore till I have a 5 mana card in my hand so I can discard it to kill Drivnod. I feel like I just play Masticore. We take the 2 from the rat, then we like Spellbomb the rat, slow it down, try to go from there. I really don't know. If I kill the rat, then the Drivnod's got indestructible. Oh no, but then I can bounce. Okay, no, it's definitely Masticore. Because if they attack with Drivnod, then we first strike kill it. If they attack with rat, we just kill the rat. Then yeah, they can put an indestructible counter on Drivnod, but whenever they do, I can put Drivnod back in their hand with Skullbomb the turn after. They can do that to kill my Masticore, because they can attack in, then put an indestructible counter on it. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm really dead. Approximately very dead. Now they have an equipment that they can put +4/+4 trample onto anything for 7. They have 6 mana right now, they just need to play a land to do that. Well. I'm likely dead. I'm likely dead. That's the thing. I think we kill the rebel, because if I kill the rat again, they can give that indestructible immediately. I think I want to wait before they can do that. And this way it forces them to put the battle chair on something else. Sawblade Scamp is not where it is at. Probably bounce Drivnod, and then if they hit a land, they put the battle chair on the rat, and then kind of have to take 6 and go to 1. Good gravy. The spooky zone. We've entered the spooky zone. I'm probably pretty dead. I think Scamp affects the game enough to just play it here. I guess I'm just discarding a mountain next turn anyway. Could get an oil counter for Anointer, but I need a lot of stuff with oil counters for Anointer to matter. I guess I'll just play it. There's the land, so put the battle chair on the rat. They don't. Okay, I'll go to 5. Battle chair on anything is lethal now. There's Drivnod. And a Branch Blight Stalker. So a ton of cards to put the chair onto. Discard Mountain and I kill nothing. Discard Anointer, I kill one of their creatures and let them give Drivnod indestructible. I don't think that's enough to survive. Because one of these just dies next turn anyway. Right? +4/+4. I mean, I guess I survive one swing this way. We might as well, it's pretty funny. I've got one more turn to live. But I definitely die when one of my Masticores dies next turn. Battle Chair is a scary, scary card at the top end. I think we were feeling pretty decent until that Battle Chair hit the board, and that is just, there's just no way to be surviving that thing. Oh, they can even give Death Touch Trample later. Pick up Experimental Augury. Well, we get to see what we have in the deck. But anything with a chair on it's going to kill us. Oh my god, wait a second. Rebel Salvo can kill Drivnod even if they give it indestructible. So if they specifically equip Drivnod, we can survive barely. If they equip anything else, we're going to die. And Masticore is going to die next turn, which means it doesn't really matter. I guess I can put them to 9. Send a message. I'm going to send a message here. I'm going to attack with Masticore. Hopefully they just let it through. And then when they try to put the chair on the Drivnod, we kill that. Masticore is going to die either way, so even if they block and give indestructible, sure, you can kill Masticore. Good for you. Okay. They don't block, though. Okay. Please put the Battle Chair on Drivnod. Please put the Battle Chair on Drivnod. No! Okay. That would have been so beautiful just to send a message. Like, I'm still losing that game, but blowing up the Drivnod, the Battle Chair does not work out, and then shoot them for 1. I mean, I guess I still survive. I just now have to salvo this thing instead, which is sad. Not being able to salvo the indestructible creature is an oof. Yep. Goodbye, Masticore. Island for the last draw. Send in the scamp. Send a message. And then take 14 if they equip the Battle Chair. Yeah, that Battle Chair was rough. I think we had a solid game plan until that thing hit the board, but that's a beautiful, beautiful finisher. That card's going to be super sweet and sealed. I think it's already like good for draft, but in sealed where it tends to play slower, that's going to be an incredible finisher. So definitely keep your eyes out on that one. All right, well, pretty great sealed today. 4-3 is not the greatest record ever. That's pretty average, but to hit a 4-3 after an 0-2 start is pretty awesome because we had to go runner, 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 hit 4 wins in a row to get this far. Just competing on a needle's edge there the whole time. So yeah, very good comeback after an 0-2 start. Perfectly happy with that. I don't think our sealed pool was exceptional. We had some spooky bomby stuff like Soulfeme and the double Masticores were obviously pretty great. We did see the downsides of the Masticore by the end of that last game, but we wouldn't have survived nearly as long without them. But yeah, Mastercores were huge in most of our games. They were one of the main ways that we were getting places. So really nice to have the Mastercores for the bombs, some decent removal in our colors. We just don't have a ton of synergy in the sealed pool. Again, the oil counter stuff not quite coming together perfectly. So yeah, not like a perfect sealed pool. Probably a little bit above average though, and we get a little bit above average record to show for it. Nice 4 and 3. So pretty happy with that. And that is going to end today's video. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be playing more Phyrexia All Will Be One Limited daily for pretty much the upcoming, basically, month. But yeah, we've got plenty more early access events coming to you until the launch of Phyrexia All Will Be One, and then we'll just be playing regular old drafts and sealeds of the format. So stay tuned if you're interested in that format. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly like these wonderful patrons, you can check out the Patreon link in the channel below. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.